don't back down. This is what we're made of. Standing our ground, here it goes down. Oh, you and me, we're gonna be legendary. Oh, wait to see, we're gonna be legendary. Ain't no time like the here and now. Yeah, we showed up, now we showing up. Oh, you and me, we're gonna be legendary. Legendary. We're gonna be legendary. Raise up a white flag. Didn't come this far just to turn back. The curtains fall for the last act. Breaking that levee, breaking that levee. We don't back down. This is what we're made of. Standing our ground, here it goes down. Oh, you and me, we're gonna be legendary. Oh, wait to see, we're gonna be legendary. Ain't no time like the here and now. Yeah, we showed up, now we showing up. Oh, you and me, we're gonna be legendary. Legendary. We're gonna be legendary. We don't back down. This is what we're made of. Standing our ground, here it goes down. Oh, you and me, we're gonna be legendary. Oh, wait to see, we're gonna be legendary. Ain't no time like the here and now. Yeah, we showed up, now we showing up. Oh, you and me, we're gonna be legendary. Legendary. We're gonna be legendary. Legendary. We're gonna be legendary.
It's explosive. You can't control this, no. I got metal running through my bones, a resurrection like a ghost. Hurricane, go ahead and blow. Where you could keep your white flag, I'll never fold. A shadow on the battlefield, a survivor, never yield. A thunder, go ahead and shade. Don't run from the storm when I feel the rain. There's no rest for the wicked, no victory for the weak. And when the weeds getting thicker, you'll never see me on my knees. You can't control this, it's explosive. You can't control this, it's explosive. You can't control this, it's explosive. I got a fever in my blood, a falling embers from above. I feel the heat when the pressure blows, a wildfire that you can't control. There's no rest for the wicked, no victory for the weak. And when the weeds getting thicker, you'll never see me on my knees. You can't control this, it's explosive. You can't control this, it's explosive. You can't control this, it's explosive. With every beat of my heart, I'll be the light in the dark. explosive.
We're a racing family that you can trust on and off the track. So if you're looking for foundation repair, go online or give us a call to schedule your free inspection. If we fix your foundation and you mention Race On Texas, you will get a 1-year free subscription to the All Access Pass.
Our family started RVing a few years ago, and when I think about all those campfires and fishing trips and sporting events, these are memories that are going to last a lifetime. I want to help others do the same thing. Hi, I'm Kevin Smith, General Manager at the all-new Click It RV in Milton Freewater. People in this community are very familiar with this location and the great service they've always received. So the biggest question we get is, where is Keith? The great news is, Keith is still here.
I've seen a lot of changes. I've seen a lot of things come and go. Through all the changes that we have seen, one thing that has not changed for us is the quality of our service.
Buying an RV is a big purchase, but it should be a fun and happy experience. So whether it be in sales or service or parts, our mission is simple: be the best. From our team here at Click It RV in Milton Freewater, we invite you to come down and experience the difference.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
We welcome you to the Grand Prix of Sonoma, round number 5 of the Stars and Stripes Racing League. The Xfinity cars are on the iRacing's virtual Sonoma Raceway tonight. Again, this track, 2.520 miles, 12-turn road course. Course is 720 acres of land in Marin County. Of course, attorney Robert Marshall Jr. and land developer Jim Coleman put this idea together, slapped a drag strip with it, and it is a phenomenal facility. It's the site tonight for round number 5. I'm Wesley Outland, Jason Rockefeller, alongside Charles Wooten, pushing the buttons, and we welcome you as practice is just about to go to an end here to Sonoma, wine country, and Jason, we're going to go lefts and rights and twists and turns and S's and carousels, and we're going to have fun here tonight.
Yeah, also you forgot about up and down. Remember, the elevation changes here at Sonoma are so crazy, Wesley. This is one of probably the greatest road courses that has ever been a part of NASCAR, obviously, and has been a staple. Not only within the Cup Series, but also the last couple of years now, also the Xfinity Series and the Truck Series once again here after some, a long hiatus with no races between those two series here. This has been a staple with, we got somebody flying up into the hills in the background. I see all the way in turn 3A. I got my wish, I guess. I told somebody that I would give them some money if they went and did that, so I got to find out who that was maybe. But this is a really great road course, very technical, obviously, with all the elevation changes, the speed, the treachery all around this racetrack. It's going to be a fun one as qualifying is getting ready to kick off here tonight.
Hey, you mentioned the, if you will, the elevation, the 160 feet of elevation change from the highest point to turn 3A. Like you mentioned, that's 174 feet to the lowest point in turn 10. 14 feet. Wow, what a crazy scenario there is. Of course, this is, again, wine country, Sonoma Raceway. in the heart of California, located just 30 miles north of the Golden Gate Bridge. And, of course, this awesome road course and drag strip right here. And we're on board with Christian Losh. And, by the way, we're underway now in Verizon 5G pole qualifying. Thanks to Verizon for jumping on board to be the pole sponsor for the entire Stars and Stripes Racing League. And, obviously, Jason will take a look real quickly now at the race summary while we're still on board with Christian Losh and presented by Hunt the Front TV. And here's the deal. Throw that green light checker out the window. 40-lap race from start to finish. This race will go caution-free tonight. This race should go by fairly quickly.
Yeah, I mean, with these guys only turning about 1:19, 1:20, and that being 1 minute 19 to 20 seconds, this race is going to be very, very quick. Like you said, it's only going to last about 40 minutes to an hour at most. So these guys, if you're starting in the rear of this field or mid-pack, Wesley, you are going to have a lot of work cut out for you. 12 turns around this place. Now remember, obviously 12 is just kind of, you know, what you would say, but this track in total, if you count the boot, the carousel, whatever you may call it, that's all total of 12 turns. You go all the way up right here to turn 1 to 2, 3, 3A, 4A, cutting across the chute, which is practically a shortcut, to 7A, all the way down to the hairpin at 11, back to 12
Jason,
before you hit the start finish line. So it's going to be
worth it. Give us a lap.
There we go. Well, here we go. We're heading into turn number 3. You want to make sure coming off of 3A here, don't spin the tires. Elevation goes downwards. And obviously you want to get down hard into the braking zone through 4A, get over those curves, let the car maybe swing out. You don't want to do it too much, though, because you will hit that tire barrier all the way, downshifting until about first gear through 7A, back over the curves here, heading towards the S's, through into turn number 8 right now. You start to head towards the bottom of the S's. You get closer, obviously, to turn 8A and turn 9. This is where it's all about throttle control and making sure you don't spin the tires, get up to speed, so you can get all the way down here to turn 10 very well. Back to the throttle. Set yourself up for a really hard braking zone all the way down from 3rd, 2nd, down to 1st gear, through the hairpin towards turn 11, and then you get back to the throttle before you hit that little left-hander in turn 12, and then you hit the start-finish line. So you want to make sure in qualifying here you do not mess up in these corners, because it is going to be very hard to pass here tonight.
And if you take a look from turn 11 to 11A to turn 12 back to 1, you can see the drag strip, of course, at Sonoma Raceway as well. Let's take a look at the Kaufman creative weather conditions. That's what I was telling you right there. Look at this drag strip to the far right. And then they move to the straight line. There's the scoreboards at the top end. Trying to get into drag racing analogy, because I'll be broadcasting drag racing this weekend. All right, so Kaufman creative weather conditions. It is an air temp of 79 in the sim. Track temp, Jason, 130 degrees. Are you kidding me?
I think that's probably not the fastest, rather, but the hottest track temperatures that we have seen so far all season long, obviously, from Daytona to Michigan to Dover, now obviously here into the hills in Sonoma, California, and wine country. This is going to be very difficult on these drivers here tonight, burning up these tires, making sure you stay on this surface, because look at how narrow this road course is here, Wesley. It is very easy to let yourself slip and slide around these turns, down the straightaways, down the hills, up the hills, whatever you may be. So many possibilities to have a hiccup, mess up, whatever it may be here. So you have to be careful. There is not a lot of room for error here, and you can only go about 2 wide on this racetrack, so you really have to be very careful here tonight and don't slip off the racetrack for sure, because you will cost yourself a lot of time and possibly yourself or others some trouble out here tonight.
About 5 minutes left to go in the qualifying. You're on board with Mark Schrader in the number 10 machine, the driver in the Willen Engineering entry Toyota out of Virginia. Now Jason Gratton on the track. There's the 42. Pittsfield, Sawkeys entry Chevrolet out of Illinois. We'll see what kind of times being put down for him right now. James Howard, 118.251 seconds. in Verizon 5G pole qualifying. Number 5 of the Stars in the Stripes Racing League. And please make sure that you don't hit any animals out there. Have your pets spayed or neutered, especially dogs. I hear your friend there, Jason. He's quite lively today, right? I think Jason's left the building. He's like, I gotta go shut this dog up. All right, Cowie Coffee, number 66, Greg Hammond, in the flame colors of that machine. Out of Arizona, the Chevrolet Camaro. Beautiful looking race car. Good field of cars also, Jason, in this event too, with 3.5 minutes left to go in qualifying.
Yeah, for sure, no doubt about it. And yes, the furry friend was in fact barking. I think he was a little excited that we were making left and right turns here tonight in wine country, so had to go make sure he was doing all right. But this event tonight, obviously, going to be very exciting to watch. And remember, these guys really don't do a lot of road course racing. You know, some of them obviously do, compared to others. Some like the road course stuff, some don't. And there's a few guys probably to look out for here tonight. You know, heading into tonight, I remember Ross Tatum last week after he won Dover. I asked him, hey, how do you think your chances are in wine country next week? He said, I'd say about mid-pack to top 15. But he said, look out for Kyle McCoy and Scott Ricard. Those were going to be the two drivers to beat. And obviously, Kyle McCoy, he's sitting 4th up on the board. Scott Ricard, he's sitting 2nd up on the board. So, I mean, those are probably two drivers you're going to have to look out for. Dylan Hoffman, James Howard also holds the pole right now. This could be a big opportunity for some of these drivers who were kind of low in points to kind of make up a little bit if you are a road course specialist.
12 turns. Of course, we're going to be talking about those tight hairpins and more. Of course, from that transition from turn 10 to 11 and 12. And right now, that's starting to pop into view right now for some of these drivers, working their way back to 12, now down to the start-finish line. And a very fast transition up into turn number 1 as well, as you're on board with the cookout machine of Ryan Lynch. And now William Duff on the Throttle podcast. I was checking that out on Spotify the other day. Pretty cool podcast show. And William Duff, of course, one of the hosts of that. There's that number 17. Billy Duff, William Duff, in the Ford out of North Carolina. Less than a $1:20 left to go here in qualifying. Anybody got anything for James Howard? That's the question. Josh Robinson just went to 3rd. Right now, 1:18.251 seconds in Verizon 5G qualifying. 1 minute left to go, Jason. This is the lap. You got to put one down now.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not heading to the start-finish line right now to at least start a lap, I mean, you are pretty much going to be out of luck here. Thankfully for William Duff, he was able to get to the start-finish line. This is going to be his one and only lap, but he has to be better than 29 other drivers that have posted a lap time, obviously. So he's got to be careful, obviously. It doesn't really necessarily hurt to start mid-pack here. But I mean, oh, look at that, way over the curbs. That's going to hurt your lap time tremendously. It's one thing to touch the curbs. It's another to completely launch your right or left sides over them. That's going to be something you might have to watch here tonight. But obviously, if you are a road course specialist, somebody who likes the challenge of driving through the field, or somebody who is just better at getting into these corners, getting out of them than some of these other guys here tonight, it doesn't really necessarily hurt to start mid-pack. But obviously, it's going to really benefit you if you're starting up at the front like James Howard's going to be, because he is your Verizon pole winner here tonight.
All right, well, we're ready to get it started now here. That's been qualifying, by the way, presented by Verizon 5G, nation's #1 network. All right, let's go racing now here in Sonoma. And it's going to be James Howard on the pole, fast time. Scott Rickard on the outside of the number 05, row 1, row 2. Joshua Robinson and Dylan Hoffman making up row number 2. Row 3 will find Kyle McCoy, Christopher Smith, the 7 of the 81. Row 4, Derek Offerman, Kyle Boland, Jason, top 10, Robert Sherwood, and Brian Burschen.
Yeah, next row you got Christian Lashen and the number 3, Tom Ogle, coming off a great run at Dover last week on the outside. Row number 7 goes to Brian Lynch in the 24, Diego Valle, the Atlanta winner from earlier this season. Row number 8, Zach Kreitz in the 46, Timmy McNally coming off of a top 10 at Dover last week in the 88. He'll start there on the outside. Row number 9, last week's winner at the Monster Mile, Ross Tatum. We'll see if he can improve. And Nate Lynch in the 25, and then top 20, row number 10, Andrew Hess in the 54, and Will Bustler in the number 1, trying to improve and take over the points lead from Scott Ricard.
Couple of wins for Will Bustler, most of anybody. Greg Hammond, James Waldo, row 11, row 12. Tom Wizza, as well as Matthew McMeekin, row 13. Finds Josh Whitaker and Jason Gratton. Row 14, Mark Schrader and Ryan Lynch in your top 30 will find Mitch Smith and Ben Dunn. Row 16, William Duff and Mark Fish. Row 17 on the grid. Of 33 tonight, Paul Thomas in the number 40. Hey, the Stars and Stripes Racing League, before we get started at Sonoma, is presented by all of these fine sponsors, including Butt Kicker. Also to Next Level Racing. As I mentioned, the On the Throttle podcast, find it in all podcast platform outlets, and Verizon, the nation's network of 5G. We're broadcast coverage of iRacing on LSRTV. Happy Thursday, February the 8th. The outlet, Jason Rockefeller alongside Charles Wooten. And it looks like they're going to make a lap around this racetrack before we get ready to turn them loose here for 40 laps.
Yeah, this should be a really interesting race, obviously, here. This is considered to be the club circuit. It's just shy of 2 miles long, sitting at 1.99, obviously 12 turns in total, and you got a lot of twists and turns here, Wesley. This is going to be interesting. This is going to also be a game about survival, keeping your car on the racing surface here tonight. Remember, folks, no cautions whatsoever here tonight.
That's right.
That green, white, and checkered attempt that you talked about, Wesley, like you mentioned, throw it out the window, throw it out your front door, throw it in your glass of wine that you're enjoying, whatever it may be. It's going to be interesting to see some of these guys drive from the back to the front, from the mid-pack to the front, and to see if these guys who are up at the front of this field, like a Will Bustler, like a James Howard, Scott Ricard, whoever it may be, will they be able to maintain up at the front of this field and show that road course experience that's been so great we've talked about over the last week? Like, obviously, Ross Tatum said, who's going to take on Wine Country tonight and be able to sip that glass at the end of tonight here. We're getting ready.
Believe it or not, you can make a pretty fast lap here around this racetrack. I mean, even though it's big, it still is fast, as they're already working their way into turn number 10 and 11. Coming to the line off turn 12 here any moment now. You see the pace car already on pit road. They work off that final turn, and they will be looking at the flag stand for the green flag. And there it goes. It's time to feel the roars. We are green at Sonoma. And they work up into turn number 1 through the Grand Strand, as they call it. Already into turn number 2. That off-camber uphill right. And that's going to then change into an uphill left and the highest point of the racetrack at 174 feet of elevation there. Up to turn 4, another downhill right. Into that part of the sweeper carousel now, Jason, as they work their way to you on the opening lap.
Yeah, all the way back down to 4A, now heading down the chute, making sure your car doesn't swing super wide, get up into that tire barrier. I'm sure we'll see drivers just kiss it or get into it tonight. Back to 7A, hard braking zone over the curb. Now they head back towards the S's here as you look at Tom Ogle, the number 11 machine, coming off of a top 10 at Dover last week. He holds that 10th position. They head through the S's, and everybody's starting to single file out. with some guys getting racy towards the back of this field here on lap 1.
When you come off of that carousel at turn 6 off the hairpin in turn 7, to me, turn 8 is the backstretch of a short track, if you will, or a racetrack. The S's, if you will, to turn number 8 into 9 to 10. And now here they come working their way to the drag strip side of the main grandstand here. Pit garages in sight into turn number 12, and we got one going around. Look out, the 89 machine giving us a problem there. You get back rolling again here. That's going to be Waldo. James Waldo goes around, gets back rolling, and we're one lap in with 39 to go.
Yeah, really surprised that's probably the only, obviously, incident that we've seen so far here. We're going to take a look at the replay. Heading in to turn 11, you're going to see him, I believe he kind of just maybe overcooks it, getting into 11. Very common issue, Wesley, where a lot of guys, they'll try to outbrake somebody into the corner. You can see how fast he's going into the corner, but actually, no, the 41 overshoots the corner, not able to get on the brakes quick enough, runs right into the back of Waldo, sends him around, go for the hairpin at 11.
It's a break there. Rickard in front. There you see the number 22 of Sherwood's car. Beautiful looking machine right there in the top 10. Offerman in front of him. Sherwood, Ogle. All these drivers right now minding their P's and Q's in the opening start of this race. Already back into turn number 11 and 12. Coming back, drag strip side. Here at Sonoma Raceway, there's that tight hairpin right. Working back to start finish, and another lap in here. Think outside the oval at Sonoma Raceway, because this is a completely different animal in itself. And you know, Jason, a lot of people don't per se care for road course racing. I'm one of them on the latter. If it's a boring race, it's not enthusiastic to me. But if there's a lot of cars and it's filled with excitement, and I think that I'm a fan of it. I think Sonoma always is one of the racetracks because of the character that the racetrack is at Sonoma Raceway. You can see this kind of entertainment tonight.
Yeah, and that's the great thing, obviously, about road course racing is compared to, obviously, the known short tracks or mile and a halves that we go to that are all have their characteristics, don't get me wrong, but it's really the same layout, the same 4 basic turns, you know, a little bit of characteristic with age, wear, multi-group racing, whatever it may be. When you come to a road course, Wesley, there are so many different factors. You think about, obviously, Sonoma, the chute, the hairpin going all the way up, that high elevation going up all the way to 3A, all the way downhill into 4A. This track has been around for so many years, opened back up in 1968, so hosted so many world-class racing events. I mean, this track is just has so much character built into it, and obviously just the different layouts, the drag strip, obviously, that holds the Sonoma Nationals over for the NHRA.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, this track is so historic, and really so many road courses across the country in the United States here, like in Sonoma, California, have so much character. But this track, for sure, like I said, mentioned earlier, this track a staple in the top 3 divisions in NASCAR over the last, handful of years, obviously, and since, we got one around there heading up into turn number 2. That's the 41, Matthew McMeekin. Saw him get into the back of Waldo through turn 11 a handful of moments ago. Let's take a look at the replay here.
Replay for McMeekin as Gratton's right behind him at the number 42, and we'll see what takes place here. McMeekin, plenty of room, just locks it up. I don't think Gratton even got into him. Matter of fact, props to Gratton and company behind him to miss the 41 going around.
Got into the dirt, Wesley. Talked about earlier, obviously, in qualifying, making sure you don't have any mistakes when we were gridding and going around for our one initial pace lap. He talked about how you don't want to dip those tires into the dirt. You saw the 41 of McMeekin. He dipped the right sides into the dirt coming into turn 2 and 3. Unfortunately, you get those tires out there in those dirt, or in that dirt, it's going to be really hard to save it. Unfortunately for him, just spun the tires a little too much. No grip. Lost it heading into turn 3.
Want to remind you this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, join us for iRacing on LSRTV with a big one. LSR Gaming X presents the Road to the 500. We'll be at Daytona International Speedway at the World Virtual Center of Racing Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, February 9th, 10th, and 11th. You'll have the trucks tomorrow night for 100 laps. The Xfinity cars like these on the road course for the Stars and Stripes Racing League will go 125 laps. And Sunday, it will be 150 laps for the Next Gen Cup cars around Daytona. Broadcast airtime on Friday and Saturday will be at 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 Central. And on Sunday at 8 Eastern, 7 Central. That is this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday after tonight. Jason, we're going to have fun in Daytona.
Yeah, going to be so much fun, obviously. You know, Daytona is such a staple, obviously, like we talked about with Sonoma, but it's more of a staple, obviously, with NASCAR, also with sim racing, such a historic track built by the OG himself, Mr. Big Bill France, and obviously such a historic track, the birthplace of speed there on the East Coast, and obviously the World Center of Racing. So it's always a fun time, no matter if we're virtual, real life, whatever it may be. Talk about it. You get goosebumps every time you hear the name Daytona.
It's going to be very special. And by the way, I was told that there's only a few spots left for the trucks and Xfinity. The Cup race is sold out for driver entries on Sunday. We got pit stops in the early going. Got a little Captain in you on a Thursday night. He's got some Pepsi. He's got some Captain Morgan on the car. I like both, Jason. And we got the 24 Brian Lynch on pit road.
Yeah, and this is something I talked to with Ross Tatum earlier on during practice. I asked him, I said, hey, man, how do you think tonight's race is going to go? He said that you could see guys pull out a pit strategy move because this race going 40. Uh-oh, what's happened to the 29 machine? James Howard, who started on the pole, something of a miss on the Verizon 5G machine, running with the 15 of Dylan Hoffman. Going to have to see, maybe the 15 gets into the back of them here. They're trying to run down Scott Ricard here, and this 15 is closing up quicker and quicker. Oh, he just loses it.
Wow, he just lost it on the rumble strips, man. He was on the turtles, if you will. They call them the rumble strips back turtles, but that's what happened, and that's what happened to Howard. There's Hoffman now. He's in second. Rickard now the leader. Hoffman, Robinson. Here's a battle now going on in the top 15 between McNally and Bustler. In front of them is the Baby Ruth car, Cripe. 6 and a 40.
Yeah, you got right there, obviously, all these guys grouped up together. You know, you got guys that are going to be strung out, kind of pull away from the field. But you see, here comes the one of Will Bustler. Remember, trying to gain as many points as he can on Scott Ricard. But I tell you what, Wesley, it's not really helping that Will Bustler started all the way back mid-pack. And Scott Ricard is probably going to extend his points lead here tonight if everything goes to plan. Obviously, he is the race leader over Dylan Hoffman by 2.25 seconds. That number 1 is fast, but we've seen him at the 1.5 miles. The 1 miles be really fast this year. Road courses might not just be his thing right now as he battles with Andrew Hess and McNally right now in the back.
This, of course, is round number 5, Grand Prix of Sonoma. There you see McNally and Lynch going at it. This is the only road course race of the season on this series. Am I right, Charles? Am I right? Yes? Is it? Oh. Yeah, we're 1/5 of the way through also. Yeah, 5 out of 20 races counting tonight here, as Charles just said in our ear, Jason. You people can't hear him, but we can. 3/4 of the season left.
Watkins Glen. That will be the only road course race that these guys will run after
this
Sonoma.
one.
That is on. Let me take a look real quick. It'll be the Butt Kicker Grand Prix. That'll be on April the 4th at Watkins Glen International. And that will be the Cup layouts. That should be a fun one.
I think we're going to Bristol next Thursday night, aren't we? Bristol? It's Bristol, baby! I think we are.
We are. Thunder Valley 250.
Yeah, 250 laps around Bristol. Gotta love Bristol, man. The short track racing over there. And obviously, I don't know if you saw the announcement today, but they posted that they're painting the walls back red and white like it used to be back in the day. By the way, upcoming schedule including after Sonoma, Thunder Valley 250, Kansas, and Richmond on the way. Those are your next 3 races. There you go. We're going to be working in lap number 10 and a few more laps. So there you see Robinson in the 3rd spot as they work their way back around the race course here at Sonoma. Working now into turn number 8, 9, 10. We got one in trouble. There's the 89 again. And he's had some problems earlier in the race, if you remember, coming back to start and finish. And we got a replay for you. Charles is on it. What happened to the 89 machine? This is Waldo, by the way.
He might have just locked it up again, coming into the corner. Oh, the 17 loose, and then he just puts the power down.
Yeah, I don't. By the way, when you see all that yellow in the road stripe lines, if you will, that is the staging lanes for the drag strip. Okay, now if drag racing, they tell people to line up and get in the staging lanes. That's where they line those cars up in the staging lanes before they work their way to the drag strip, which now you see from the top view. As they come to the start finish line, the drag strip to the far right as they already worked their way back up into the uphill right, the uphill left, up to the highest elevation point in turns number 1, 2, and 3, and on to the hairy hairpin. Those mangy corners, if you will. Right now, everybody just kind of working their way around the racetrack into turn number 4, up to 5, into the carousel, through the carousel, back to another signature turn, into the hairpin at turn 7. That's what I was mentioning, by the way, the Bagney Course hairpin. And you get so fast around this racetrack, Jason. You're already now on the backstretch of what I call here at Sonoma. You're in the S's.
Yeah, this track definitely, obviously, out of most road courses, really is probably one of the fastest road courses we go to, besides Watkins Glen, for a track that has 12 turns and a lot of twists and turns, barely any straightaways. Besides, really, if you think about it, Wesley, just this front straightaway, and then down into 4A, and then obviously through the chute that's right next to the boot or carousel. I mean, those are the only times you're on the straightaways. You're going through the turns, you're going through the elevation changes constantly. You're never really keeping that wheel pretty straight all night long. You are doing a lot of wheeling and dealing inside those sim racing cockpits, inside the car. It's really difficult, obviously. It's definitely an arm workout. It's definitely a hand workout, whatever it may be. You will be exhausted in the sim after these races, no matter how much time you're putting in, however many laps you run. I remember, I think my first road course race I ever ran here on the sim, I ended up running at Watkins Glen in a C fixed race.
Oh, wow.
I ran, I think it was like 15 or 20 laps at Watkins Glen in the trucks, man, and I started top 5. I finished P3, and man, that was a workout for me, and I really like running road courses. I'm not the greatest at them, but I really love doing them, and man, they will really beat you up mentally, physically, even for just being on the sim. It's definitely a lot of work and definitely a mental game for a lot of these guys. As you look right here at James Howard nearly runs into the back of Thomas Ogle going through turn number 11 back to 12. They were able to save it, though. These are two guys who are predominantly fast on the road courses. You see Howard trying to make his way back up towards the front of that field, right where he started as well. Oh, the 13 machine now. Fish off course through the S's.
Replay coming. Take a look what happened here. There, we're going to see what happened to Fish as the dude wipes entry. Look out. Hold on, buddy. Wow. Almost got wiped out in the
Great
wall there.
save.
Man, saw a lot of drivers making some good saves. 11 of 40 laps right now. Rickard in the lead. And that number 05, by the way, Jason, perfect night for Scott Rickard. As in addition to him being the leader, there you see, of course, Robinson and McCoy battling for third and fourth. But Scott Rickard in the lead right now, Jason, and he has a 6-point lead coming into tonight over Will Bustler. And Bustler is all the way back to the top 20. He's in the lead. This is what Rickard needs to do tonight in Sonoma.
Yeah, obviously, you know, and the great thing, too, I believe the rule book here for the Stars and Stripes Racing League still is as, you know, one bonus point for leading the most laps and a point for every single lap you lead. So Scott Rickard is just extending this points lead over Will Bustler. You think about really the kind of combination that they do with the points here in the regular season for the Stars and Stripes Racing League. I know another league that we have coming and returning back here to LSRTV, the Full Throttle Sim. Oh no, 17 off course right in front of the 41.
You mentioned full throttle
on the throttle.
Yeah, in trouble, the 17 Lynch. Duff, my brother, he's Duff. And there's the replay coming on that one.
Oh, there's
and he saved it. Oh, Hammond's off course. Too much coffee for him. Look at this bottle. Lynch. I think it's a lap machine up in the way. And here comes Hoffman. And McCoy clear a path lap car is a pick. Hoffman a little wiggle and a jiggle and a giggle and a bobble right there off of that turn and got around McCoy and he holds on to that. Boy, you got excited there for a minute, Jason. Holy cow.
I think everybody here needs some of that Kauai coffee that we saw just a handful of moments ago to keep themselves on this racetrack. It has been really interesting to watch. You look at the number 7 machine there of Kyle McCoy. Talk about a driver who has had some really, really tough breaks here these last couple of weeks, Wesley. You think back to Michigan, dominated for about the first half of that race, battling with Will Bustler, Ross Tatum, and most of those guys up at the front. Ends up speeding on pit road while he's leading the dang race. He's not able to come back, finishes a lap down. You go back to Dover last week. He's dominating in the last fourth of the race, and he walls himself with 25 laps to go on a lap car. If there's anybody out here who wants a win, it's Kyle McCoy, trust me. And that Tropical 5, number 7 Celsius machine is really putting the pressure on Dylan Hoffman as they head back to 10, now down to 11 through the higher pin.
Really good lap being showed, and pit stops also underway as the 92 of Smith is on pit road. Verizon 5G network. And by the way, they're available on Android, like I have, or iPhones in the Apple Store. Take your pick.
Oh, there we go.
Again. Well, he's getting a lot of promo. He's getting a lot of promo time for the On the Throttle podcast every week on our, on his broadcast platforms.
There he goes on the throttle again. Charles says might have to lay off the throttle a little bit.
Yeah, off the throttle, coming to a podcast outlet near you.
On the
off
brakes.
The throttle. Oh boy, look at this. Almost locking him up there at the 20. The Home Depot colors of that driver. Beautiful looking ride there also. I like the colors. I like that stealth black color on that machine. As he works his way around the racetrack right now in the number 20 machine. That's the driver, Derek Offerman. And he's in that number 10 spot in the top 10 and 8th right now. Toyota car. Oh, big gaggle of traffic there. Hold on, Jason. They're trying to get through here. Clear path.
Yeah, you're seeing Kyle McCoy. He has been able to navigate this lap traffic pretty well. He's moved up to second now. Dylan Hoffman has moved all the way back into the 4th spot as you ride on board the 15 machine from the roof camera, trying to run down Josh Robinson, who was also fast in practice, fast in qualifying, to head back up to 3A. Down the little straightaway to 4A. Then they're going to head out of this right-hander, go down the chute all the way to 7. So everybody right now, from pretty much second on back to, fourth, Wesley, they're all under a blanket. You see Kyle McCoy there. He's just right now heading through those corners, heading all the way to 8. Then you have Robinson, Hoffman, and obviously Chris Smith, who we really haven't talked about at all here tonight. You think about, obviously, the first couple of weeks, first 3 weeks, really. Chris Smith was a driver who was very fast, and haven't really talked much about him, but right now he's sitting P5 in the number 81 machine, up 1 spot from where he qualified. Great run for the Smith machine right now.
Lynch, of course, cookout machine, and he is kicking up some dust. The 31. Let's see what happened to Ryan Lynch. Oh my goodness. Jason, can they really damage their car this badly by doing something like that? Let's look at this. I mean, hey, let's go off-road.
I mean, yeah, you definitely can. If you hurt it, enough, obviously, you could hurt the chassis, you could hurt the springs, obviously, stuff like that with these race cars. It's not nearly as effective as it is, obviously, in the real world, but you could definitely do just a tiny, tiny little itsy-bitsy damage to those underbodies underneath the chassis. And whoa, look at the 15 of Dylan Hoffman. He just got really loose there, coming out of that corner through 7A, now back to 8. He's hunted down by Chris Smith through the S's, but yeah, definitely don't want to obviously get off track. And you're noticing these lap times too starting to fall off a little bit. The fastest lap of the race, James Howard, 1:19.439. Last time around from the race leader, 1 minute 22 seconds, .238. So pretty much 3 seconds of fall off, obviously, since the drop of the green flag here. And also, I wanted to mention, like we were talking about before obviously all the chaos started to break through, as you see Smith get around Hoffman finally there for 4th position. I talked to Ross Tatum before the race. He said he didn't know really what the strategy was going to be like. He said you could have guys pit really early, you could have guys pit halfway, or you could see guys try to stretch it all the way to the end on fuel. He said he wasn't really sure what strategy was going to play out because these guys are just barely on the number to get it all the way to lap 40 into the checkered flag on 1 tank of fuel. So we very well here, Wesley, could see guys from mid-pack to the front of the pack try to stay out, stretch it all the way to lap 40, and create some interesting storylines here towards the end of this race.
There you see Offerman or Hoffman in that 5th position. Now you see the 11 car. That's Ogle trying to run down Lobson for that spot. Believe it or not, Jason, man, we're closing in on halfway for this thing. We've only been under green flag for about 25 minutes, and literally halfway of the race is done. We knew going into this event there was not going to be any caution flags for this race at all.
Yeah, oh, look out, boys. Oh,
wow.
Some near contact. That could have been probably the first real wreck of the night. You saw Tom Ogle come off the corner, got a little loose, got off on the throttle a little too much, nearly ran Christian Lawson right up into that outside, or rather inside wall, technically. Left and right, it varies what side of the racetrack you're at here at Sonoma, but that could have been a really close call for those two guys. And Tom Ogle definitely cannot afford that. Remember, we talked to him a couple weeks ago. He said, hey, all we got to keep doing is grinding. He put himself in a hole after Daytona. He wants to try to make up as many points as possible so he can run for a championship by the end of the season. And he's doing just that. Remember, last week at Dover, ran very, very well. Obviously, the week prior at Michigan, ran well as well. Trying to do the same here tonight. He's inside the top 10, battling with Christian Lawson. And he's in the 9th spot right now, up 3 from where he started as he heads towards the S's.
Another good lap being shown. Closing in on the halfway mark of this event, Scott Ricker, Kyle McCoy, Josh Robinson, Chris Smith, Dylan Hoffman, your top 5, James Howard, Kyle Bowling, Derek Offerman, Christian Loschen, Tom Ogle, top 10. There's that battle between Christian Loschen and Ogle going at it right here on the racetrack now. Halfway next time by, and the first half has really gone by quickly here, Jason. I mean, man, oh man, this first half of the race has been highly entertaining. Excitement all over the track.
Yeah, I want to see one thing, if we could try to take a look at it here. You look at the cars fly by down into the chute here. You see James Howard still trying to, reprise his roll up inside that top 5, able to get past Dylan Hoffman as Kyle Bowling in the Pepsi machine looks to try to get by. He had to tuck back in line. But one thing I wanted to take a look at here, Charles, if we could take a look at the Kaufman Creative weather conditions is to see what this track temperature now looks like now that we're about to be halfway through the Grand Prix of Sonoma. Remember, we started with around 130 degrees with track temperature. Only raised about 1 degree. Still very, very hot up on this racetrack right now.
78.80 Fahrenheit for the temperature, ambient temp outside the virtual sim. Track temp right now is exactly 131.00 Fahrenheit. And we are closing in on halfway, 20 down, 20 to go. Here comes Valle on pit road. Atlanta winner. Valle coming to the pits, the Toyota number 68. You gotta think, Jason, they're gonna start making pit stops and money stops for that matter here.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, obviously, and like I just mentioned beforehand, halfway, Ross Tatum said you were probably going to start to see guys start to come into the pits, get some fuel for fresh Goodyear Eagles, because we don't know if these guys are going to be able to make it all the way. Ross did tell me, he said they can, but it's like right on the number, so you might be seeing guys run out of fuel here towards, oh no, not on the throttle podcast again. Get off the throttle, maybe get on the brakes a little bit there, heading up through turn number 3. That's the number 17, obviously, of William Duff,
Jason,
able to save it. He is
Jason, I'm convinced he's just doing it for TV time.
He might be, as he goes a lap down now.
Just playing William Duff there, and of course, on the Throttle podcast. Whoa, did you see the 54 Hess? Just backed it in the rear end of the car, man. It looked like it was fighting it coming off of that corner there. Working off the rear pin and headed into the S's.
Nearly dips it in the dirt right there. He's got to be careful. Don't want to push those boundaries too much, especially coming out of these corners like right here, heading out of turn number 10. That is probably, Wesley, if I had to say, and I know out of all your years of being a racing fan, a NASCAR fan, and obviously a broadcaster, heading out of turn 10, right before you get down that little straightaway, obviously, towards turn 11, there have been a lot of guys that have gotten in to that dirt and have gotten into that tire barrier over the years. That is probably one of the easiest spots to get off track here at Sonoma.
Yeah, and it's also been the mixture of excitement for sure as well, working off of that turn 10, 11, working off of that, if you will, that tight hairpin right, coming to the drag strip view in the pit area, and that we've seen some crazy finishes at Sonoma Raceway over the years because of that that arc, that craziness here, coming off of that final stretch back to the start and finish line. It's a very unique racetrack, no doubt, in this 720 acres that the Sonoma Raceway is made upon. Right now, closing in, 18 to go.
This track has obviously had so much history to it, obviously. So many historical finishes. You think back to 2016, Tony Stewart got passed by Denny Hamlin with half a lap to go. Nobody thought he could pass him. He ends up basically getting into the right rear on the final lap, gets his final career NASCAR Cup Series win. You think back to 1991, Ricky Rudd spun Davey Allison going into turn number 11. They ended up DQing Ricky Rudd, and Davey Allison, I believe, was handed the win that day. So many historical finishes, so many great racing moments here at Sonoma. That's why we love it.
I think of Dale Earnhardt and Tim, the late Tim Richmond. Well, the late drivers of both Dale Earnhardt Sr. and Tim Richmond. They've had some historic races here as well. Rusty Wallace in his time. really good on the road courses here. And, of course, never count out Jeff Gordon or 7-time champion Jimmy Johnson for the success they've had. And these drivers of the Stars and Stripes Racing League now making their annals of racing history here in the world of iRacing. Here tonight as Rickard has been the man leading open book shut case. My question is, though, he's not pitted yet, Jason.
Oh,
whoa! Oh, hard into the wall, McMeekin at 41. He might be done for. Here's a replay.
That came out of nowhere.
Maybe Offerman a little aggressive here, Jason. Set it up for us. 17 to go.
Yeah, we're about to take a look right here, heading through turn number 11, and he just simply gets loose
on his own.
And he just plows into that inside tire barrier. And I want to see if we could possibly, Charles, ride on board with the number 3 of Christian Lott. Oh, it's the 54, Andrew Hess around.
Hess around, McNally on the blinders to miss him. Remember that Wiener Schnitzel machine as Valle almost tags the tire barrier on the bottom right, but that Wiener Schnitzel machine I was telling you about, his car, the back end of the right of that car, it looked really, really arced bad. It looked like it was just going to come out. The back end was several times before he spun here. And unfortunately, we can't go back to the production truck to get what happened to the 41 of McMeekin, but he's out. McMeekin's out. Hess is able to continue the Wiener Schnitzel mobile. Jason, it's on the car.
Yeah, oh my gosh, so much going on here these last few laps. And you did talk about, Wesley, that 54 machine, the back end coming out a lot for him off these corners, especially when we saw him coming off turn 7A just a handful of laps ago. And I thought the same thing. I said, man, he is getting really loose if he gets on the throttle, not to mention on the Throttle podcast, but if he gets on the throttle just a little too much coming off these corners, that back end's going to come around on him. We've seen it time and time again. Drivers, whether it be real or sim, spin out coming off turn number 11 by just unfortunately putting the gas down too much. And that's what happened to the 54 there of Andrew Hess coming off 11.
When does Rickard come to the pit lane? Right now, everybody in the top 11, a matter of fact, has not pitted yet, Jason. Will they pit or are they stretching it to the end, you think? Can they go 40 laps?
Man, I'm going to just say what Ross Tatum told me. I don't know what stretch is going to work out. Oh no!
Oh, no. There's something happened to the wheel. Is somebody hitting?
Oh! T-Bone!
Well, he's done
some Wiener Schnitzels.
Yeah. Without the bud. Christian Lott on pit road. S on pit road, the 54 car. And 15 laps to go here at Sonoma. Hey, real quickly, we're seeing pit stops. The Stars and Stripes Racing League from Sonoma Raceway in the Grand Prix is presented by Butt Kicker. Thanks also to Next Level Racing. We'll mention it again, Off the Throttle.
Rickard has the opportunity to come into the pits, obviously, as the race leader. He has that 5.5, almost near 6-second gap, but because, like I said earlier in the show, and I'm going to mention Ross a lot because Ross was talking to me a lot before the broadcast tonight. He said last week after, Dover, I said, hey, how you going to do? He was like, I'm not going to do that well, but look out for Scott Ricard and Kyle McCoy. Those are the two to watch. Well, guess what? Ross was right, man. They're 1-2 right now, and Kyle is catching him a little bit. He's gained about 6/10. Does Scott Ricard have the opportunity, if he were to pit, to catch back up to Kyle if Kyle does not pit? That's a risk he has to be possibly willing to take here. We're going to have to find out, though, coming to 13 laps to go pretty soon. Not pitting this time there for the number 05 Tire Pros Camaro. Getting a little loose. He might be able to run all the way to the end. We'll have to see.
That's my question. I mean, the strategy being showed is, he doesn't show any signs of stopping, if you will. By the way, fastest lap of the race, James Howard, 1:19.439 seconds. He is in the top 5. Tire Pros Chevrolet, the points leader, coming into tonight's event. By the way, point standings almost separated by mere 56 points going into the top 10. And right now, a 6-point lead that Sky Rickard has over Will Buzzler. Christopher Smith is 18 back, 25 back. Dylan Hoffman, and 38 back in the top 5 is Tom Ogle, Ross Tatum, Diego Valle, Kyle Bowling, Zach Kreitz, and Kyle McCoy, top 10. Speaking of Kyle McCoy, there he is right there in the number 7 Celsius Live Fit entry. And the number 7 Chevrolet making a run on Hammond, clear a path, trying to get out of the way. This is for 15th. 15 cars, Jason, on the lead lap here now with 12 to go next time around in Sonoma.
And Wesley, I was just about to mention too, Kyle McCoy has gained about a second these last 2 laps on Scott Ricard. I don't know if Scott maybe is just backing it down a little bit. Maybe Kyle's now backing it down because he's not gaining as much time or what. But those two are really strong road course racers. It's really going to be hard to see here as we're winding down to this race past the second half into this last quarter. Who is going to obviously have the car to beat? Kyle is nearing making that gap under 4 seconds. It's now about 4.2 on our screens, 3.7 up on your race leaderboard. Does Kyle McCoy have what it takes to get up to Scott Ricard? And again, we still don't know if these guys are going to have to pit. That's the thing, Wesley. This is like just kind of watching paint dry, for these 2 race leaders. It's kind of like they're running their own race. They're having great battles out here, but we don't know when they're going to be dry. You have to wait and see. Right. So it's really interesting to see Scott Ricard and Kyle McCoy go at it and show what's best for them here.
And that strategy right now, there's the Budweiser machine of Lynch. He's got a pretty good run going for him at the top 15. He's in 14th. By the way, 15 cars on the lead lap from Rickard to McNally. There you see Grattan trying to get around the Cowie coffee machine. There's that 66 machine of Hammond. He is the first car. He's the first car, Jason, 1 lap down. I was going to say if we get a caution to get the free pass, but that ain't going to happen.
Yeah, no. What you got's what you got, man. No cautions here tonight, obviously. Approaching 10 laps to go here in just a few moments. So you got what you got, man. You just got to run out, try to collect as many points as you can, obviously. And for Scott Ricard tonight, it's been a dream come true for him. He was only up on Will Bussler by 6 points just, heading into tonight. And now with the fact that he has pretty much clinched the most laps led, and for every lap he leads is a bonus point, Scott Ricard is going to come out of here with a lot of bonus points tonight. Plus, if he were to win this race too, you got to think he is going to extend that gap, obviously, on Will Bussler. Not only Will Bussler, but you look at also the other guys behind, Will. You think about Will Smith. He's back behind, Will by just 12 points. Dylan Hoffman behind Chris Smith by just 7. These points are going to shake up here tonight for sure after this one.
Laps to go here in Sonoma, in wine country. Virtual iRacing, round number 5 of the Stars and Stripes Racing League. Remember, next week we go from the road courses of Sonoma to the world's fastest half mile in Bristol, the Thunder Valley 250. Next Thursday night, right here, iRacing on LSRTV. Don't forget, this weekend, Friday through Sunday, The LSR Game and X Road to the 500. Trucks Xfinity Friday and Saturday, 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 Central airtime. And we got one locking him up. Hold on, Lynch. Trying to find a way to run down Cranks for that spot, but he couldn't. That's where 13th and 14th. Couldn't get around him in the course Sunday. Super Bowl Sunday. 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central. The Next Gen Cup cars. And the race at Daytona. The, of course, Road to the 500. Presented by LSR Game and X. iRacing on LSRTV. And here we go up the hill again. Boy, oh boy, Jason, look at this elevation you talk about. That's 174 feet elevation.
Yeah, I mean, this track is just so interesting with obviously all the characteristics we've talked about, from the elevation, the left and rights, you know, the different curves, turns, whatever it may be. Elevation here for sure is absolutely ginormous. You go all the way from turn 1 all the way to the top of 3. And I mean, the elevation from the bottom of 1 to 3A, it's just ginormous. So much elevation change for sure. Then you go down the hill in 4A, down the hill again to 7A, and then you head through some little bits and pieces of hills and all the banking and whatnot, and the straightaways you can just see right there in the background. This track definitely has a lot of characteristics that we know and love here, and I guarantee these drivers also like it for sure if they're road course drivers.
Well, we're closing in on under 10 laps to go, but of course we do not have any caution flags, but we do want to give you some more information on the race summary. It's presented by Virginia811.com, reminding you to dig with care. And look on the bottom left of the monitor. There you see it. Thank you, Brian Morehouse. Big goose egg on the race summary, Jason.
Yeah, and I mean, really, if you want to think about it, obviously the only lead change we've really had was when Scott Ricard took over the race lead. James Howard started on the pole, but I mean, Scott started right next to him, and I believe probably towards the line. He probably beat him there, so that's why we haven't had any lead changes. So Scott just was able to really get out of the gate, lead all the laps, and James Howard still fighting back, trying to reclaim his top spot, but he's got a lot of work to do. 7.5 laps to go. He's back by 15 seconds. He's made his way all the way back to 4th. Remember earlier in the race too, Wesley, he ended up getting really out of shape, made a great save, almost fell outside the top 10. Now he finds himself P4, trying to get back up here on the podium as he closes in on Josh Robinson.
Rickard in the lead. Scott Rickard, the Chevrolet number 05. He has not pitted. Neither has Kyle McCoy. They're running down now. The 88 of Timmy McNally to put him a lap down. Back and forth, tit for tat for that spot. Zach Price will be the next man to go a lap down to the 46 as McCoy almost locks it up. Trying to get around the Bass Pro Shops Club. Tracker Boat Chevrolet of McNally. That's a lap car. McCoy and that Celsius Live Fit number 7 trying to run down Rickard, and he's closed the gap to 4 seconds. Jason with 7 to go.
Yeah, just still obviously, you know, with these 1 minute and 22-second lap times, it's going to be hard to see if Kyle McCoy is going to be able to get Scott Ricard. I just don't know if he's going to be able to do it. And again, we still don't know if these guys are even going to be able to make it to the finish. So that's the beauty of it here. He's closing that gap just a little bit low. He gets really out of shape there, heading through turn number 4A. And in fact, he was all the way down to almost 4 seconds. It is now 4.5 seconds. So just by overstepping his boundaries, getting off the racing surface, nearly hitting that tire barrier, he has lost 5 to 6 tenths just from that. So you can see that Kyle McCoy and that Tropical Vibe Celsius machine is definitely digging inside of that number 7 machine right now for sure.
Yeah, time running out, no doubt. As they work their way again down into turn number 11 and 12. That sharp hairpin right. Dragway side near the station lanes. Working off to the pit lane area, and they come back off for that corner, back to start finish. And I've said this before, Jason, 6 laps to go. Probably the fastest entrance in turn 1 at any racetrack on the NASCAR, or probably any racetrack in the country. Fastest entrance in turn 1.
Yeah, and it's really easy to obviously get really off-settled there through that corner and get off track by the time you head up the hill to turn 2, because you think about it, you go into turn 1, then all of a sudden you're turning a real quick right turn through into turn 2, up the hill once you get out from underneath that bridge by the checkered flag club. So, I mean, you really got to get on the brakes quickly, and that's a track, or not a track rather, but that's a part of the racetrack that's really technical, because if you think about it, you go into turn 1, you're laying off the throttle a little bit. You can lay a little bit more down once you kind of get straightened out, but then all of a sudden, you got to get on the throttle, maintain your throttle and your brake, all while trying to go from left to right, so we can definitely mess a lot of drivers up. You can have lockups, you can have drivers dip their tires in the dirt like we've seen here tonight. Definitely a very fast part of the racetrack for sure, no doubt.
Close it in on the finish, and still no pit stops by the top 9. Everyone else on 10th on back has pitted. Actually, I'll give you brass tacks here. Actually, Jason, there's actually a lot of drivers that haven't pitted. Now I'm looking at this, it actually blows me away, because I really thought we would see pit stops in this race, but that's not the case, man. 5 to go. There's the man that's Mr. Smith in that Apex Energy number 81 Chevrolet Camaro. Came into this race with the number 3 in the points. 18 back to Rickard. Being inconsistent, if you will, but a good night for Smith to stay out of trouble, Jason.
Yeah, definitely, and it's really something that obviously he needed. I mean, you know, you look back, you know, to Chris Smith in the points right now. I mean, he's started all 4 races, and he's got 3 top 10s, 2 top 5s, and he's only back out of the points by 18. So, I mean, he's probably more than likely, I'd say, Wesley, going to pass, you know, Will Bussler in points for that 2nd spot, possibly. We're just going to have to see. But a quiet night for this 81 machine. Not causing anything. He's not making big headlines. He's just riding around that top 5. And that's really what that number 81 Apex Energy machine really needs right now, for sure.
Beautiful looking ADAA Chevrolet Camaro, the number 22. That is the driver of Robert Sherwood, as we've got the 51 off course. Tom Wisdom, Toyota. And he whizzes off the racetrack in the 51 here, Jason. The Skeeter Toyota. Let's see what happened to him. Well, any day now.
Gets in the throttle.
Yeah, locked him up there. I think he zigged when he should have zagged. 4 to go.
And I tell you what, I think Scott Ricard is driven away with this lead. Unless something were to happen to him, I mean, I think he's pretty much got this locked up. Kyle McCoy keeps flirting with, you know, 4.5, 4 3/4 of a second, all the way down to nearing below 4 seconds. He's faster in some parts. Scott Ricard is faster in some other parts. That's the thing about road course racing, Wesley. And, you know, you could be good in one turn, but the other guy could be better than you in all other 11 corners at this racetrack. So this goes to show you how technical road course racing is and how difficult it is, where you can be such a good road course racer, but you could be so bad in one corner compared to somebody else who's not really a road course driver. And then there's other guys who will be faster than you throughout the entire track but one corner. So this goes to show you that it's definitely not your average type racetrack, especially this place here in Sonoma.
Robinson in the 3rd spot, the Micro Center Electronics Chevrolet. Right there in 3rd, 30 car. 11 seconds back. McCoy, by the way, has cut the interval to 3 seconds, Jason, on Rickard. Can he run him down? Does he got enough time in the 7th? We see Robinson in 3rd, but McCoy, the 7th car, he's having a great run.
Yeah, I just don't know, really, Wesley. I mean, it looks like it's just going to be another night for Kyle McCoy for what could have been. And you think about it, too, We didn't get the chance to talk to him at Michigan after having that great run when we thought halfway through he was going to be the guy to beat, besides Bustler and everybody else, but he sped on pit road, got a lap down. He was the first car lap down by the end of the race, never was able to come back through the field. You think about Dover last week, leading with 25 laps to go, and he clears himself off turn number 4, right in front of, I believe it was the 94 of Joshua Altice. Clears himself, walls himself, falls out of it. He's no longer a factor. Here tonight, he had a chance. He showed his strength, and he's trying to show everybody right now that he means business this season. And even though it's not going to be the win probably, a second-place run is definitely what Kyle McCoy would need right now, but he is just smelling and tasting hints of victory right now on the horizon for sure.
Dirt tracks in a moment, coming off of those rumble strip turtles, trying to run down the first car lap down of Kreitz in the 46. 13 cars on the lead lap, and while that happens, Rickard is working his way now through the final part of the course, working back to the dragway side, clearing around the 89 machine, putting him a lap down again. And while all of this is transpiring, here comes the Tire Pros Chevrolet number 05, the driver out of the Commonwealth of Virginia. High Rock Vodka. Sometimes he drives a car that's similar to Landon Huffman's late model career. Not tonight. Looking for another win. The New York native Scott Rickard comes to the line. White flag in the air. The CRN, 1 to go. One more trip around Sonoma. He's looking for his first win of the year finally for the points leader. A great day at Sonoma. Up the hill in turn 3 for the final time, Jason.
Yeah, it's been an absolutely fantastic previous 4 races for the man. Hasn't finished outside the top 10 once. He's got 3 top 5s, and he's looking to try to add another one to his resume here for the season on the career stat sheet over on Sim Racer Hub. This Tire Pros machine has been out front all night since the start of the green flag. We talked about earlier in the race the 6-point gap between him and Bustler. Bustler nowhere to be seen pretty much all race long, and he's all the way in 28th, while Scott Rickard trying to come home with a win, leading the most laps and obviously leading every lap for bonus points. Scott Rickard coming off turn 10, heading to 11 for the final time here to pick up his first win of the season.
The Tire Pros entry, working dragway side, storming through the pit area. No tires, no fuel. Since the drop of the green to the strategy works, he will now make the 4th different winner in 5 races. Scott Rickard, winner here of the Sonoma Grand Prix. Here comes McCoy. McCoy is going to finish in the 2nd spot in that number 7 machine. What an effort. 5.73 seconds back, Jason. Just fell short there at the end. But man, just what sheer domination by Scott Rickard to that 05. Wow.
Yeah, Scott Rickard's been doing so well, obviously, this season. We just talked about it. I mentioned it right before he was coming to the line. 4 for 4 top 10 finishes. Now he's going to be 4 for 5 top 5s. And obviously that one top 5 is going to be a win. So this is definitely going to improve him in the points. Even though he was already the points leader coming into tonight, he sure as heck is going to be having a lot of points on the field tonight here after those 40 laps of pure domination for the Tire Pros machine tonight. Great job by Scott Rickard. Great drive, too, by Kyle McCoy. And a really great drive by James Howard, driving back all the way up into the top 5 after he fell nearly out of the top 10 due to an incident coming out of turn 10. He is probably, besides Scott Rickard, my driver of the day, I'd say, here at Sonoma. But the one driver we're all looking at right now, Scott Rickard, coming off turn 11, going to burn it down right by the drag strip. He's the man here tonight.
And he certainly is. What a phenomenal job. Results of the 33 drivers, and there goes Rickard coming at you. Still burning it down to the Tire Pros Chevrolet from New York, the 4th different winner in 5 races in that Toyota, by the way. Scott Rickard will pick up the win. Kyle McCoy second. Joshua Robinson third. James Howard fourth. Old guard falling all the way back to fourth. Get Christopher Smith a good run in the top 5. Kyle Bowling sixth. Derek Offerman. Robert Sherwood, Thomas Ogle, and Dylan Hoffman. Top 10 here in Sonoma in the Grand Prix, Jason.
Yeah, and then obviously you look down all the way to your top 20 of Christian Laschen coming home P11. Diego Valle, he was one of those drivers to try to pit and see if it could work out. Not enough, but he's the last car on the lead lap. You look at the rest of the field, all the way down, you have drivers like Greg Hammond, Mark Schrader, Jason Gratt, and some of those guys had some issues early on, but Mark Schrader is the driver who rounds out your top 20 lap, 1 lap down.
James Waldo, Mark Fish, all drivers multiple laps down the scoring pylon. Tom Wizza, Ryan Lynch, William Duff, Andrew Hess, all drivers we showed on replay thanks to the awesome work by Charles Wooten of drivers that got caught up in accidents. Ross Tatum, Paul Thomas, Brian Burchett, the first one out. I don't even think he even attempted to take the green in the number 33 spot. Let's take a look one more time. Virginia811.com race summary. It's presented by, reminding you to dig with care, Virginia811.com. And there you see, very unusual. It's goose eggs across the board in this race. Usually we don't see that. Tonight we do. But thanks again to Virginia811.com. By the way, 4 different winners in 5 races. Scott Rickard from the Empire State, New York, winning it. We'll grab a word with the podium. We'll wrap things up. We get ready for the road to the 500 this weekend at Daytona, and next week for the Stars and Stripes Racing League, it is on to Bristol. We'll grab the podium when we come back. This is iRacing on LSRTV. Welcome back to coverage of iRacing on LSRTV, the Stars and Stripes Racing League, round number 5. And the Sonoma Grand Prix has concluded. Well, Wesley Outland, Jason Rockefeller, Charles Wooten on production. We'll wrap things up in a minute. But first, we got the podium. Scott Rickard came into the night with a points lead. He leaves with the points lead, and he leaves with his first win of the year in that Tire Pros entry Toyota from New York. Scott, how's it feel to finally get the monkey off your back, get a win, and 4 winners in 5 races? Pretty darn competitive series here.
Yeah, well, made for oval. I've gotten out of road courses. Thankfully, just about being smooth. So, I love Sonoma. I love road course racing, stock cars. They're the most fun thing on road. I think it's good to get another one on a road on one of them.
And Scott, congratulations on bringing home your first win of the season, my friend. And dude, you were just lights out from the drop of the green flag all the way to the checkered flag like we saw, tallying up that first win of the season. Again, congratulations. And man, what drove you, to really have this love, this passion for road course racing? Because we talked to Ross Tatum at the end of Dover last week, and he said, look out for Kyle McCoy and Scott Rickard. And man, he was not kidding when he said to look out for you guys. You guys went 1 and 2 here tonight.
It's just something I love doing it in NASCAR games growing up, just doing road courses. So I think just naturally it felt great to me to be able to do it on iRacing and with a wheel and actually enjoy it more.
Well, I'll tell you what, man, went out a phenomenal job here for you. The strategy of no pit stops. Did you know going into this race that you could be able to go the complete distance without stopping?
Yeah, before we got to the week, I'm like, we're gonna have to pit halfway. We're gonna pit have to pit for fuel, and then started doing laps, and then in practice, and I'm like, we're only like half a lap short on making on fuel. It's gonna be easier to save the half a lap and save tires at the same time than pit and try to make it up.
Well, man, congratulations. 4th winner in 5 races. Before we let you go, buddy, thank your sponsors. See you next week at Bristol.
Everybody at the team and my dog.
There you go. All right. So, Sky Rickard picking up the win. 4th winner in 5 events, and I'm pretty sure leaving tonight, he'll also come away with a points lead, as that will update very soon. And right now, coming into tonight's event after Dover, he had a 6-point lead over Will Bustler. Let's go to the band in second. Kyle McCoy, the number 7 Chevrolet from Iowa. The Hawkeye State's got to be rooting you on, man. Oh, so close. You started to reel him in, ran out of time. You're taking this race and finishing second, buddy.
Excited to be up here finally. Had a couple of bad luck races these past couple weeks, but it's nice to finish one off. And I raced that way a little bit. I was careful getting up to the field. I knew I was going to have some tires. As close as we were on gas, it was really hard to push and get enough out of them. And then I burned my rears off trying to get back to Scott. He just had such a lead there at the end, and he's always so tough here. It comes down to about a qualifying lap at the beginning just to stay close. So pumped to have this run. Great run for us. Love the team finishes tonight, 1st, 2nd, 6th with bowling back there. So really happy with that, and happy to get to the end of one of these things.
Well, man, we're also, glad that you finally got to the end of one, finally getting able to talk to us. Michigan, believe you were speeding on pit road. Dover last week, cleared yourself coming off 4 while leading with 25 laps to go, man. With obviously the runs you've had recently, the bad luck, now you turn it around with this, 2nd place run here tonight in Sonoma. What more do you need to do to continue that march towards the front for that 1st win and obviously for this championship?
Yeah, I think what you guys are seeing here is that we have a very competitive league, really high quality racing, and high quality drivers in here. So I mean, one mistake you can see takes you right out of contention. Missed my lane at Daytona, made a stupid speeding penalty leading the race at Michigan, and then obviously just got in the throttle. I mean, a hair too early last week and got up into Josh, which I still feel bad about. And that's all it takes, right? Is that little bit of a mistake. And I'll be the first one to say I haven't raced a ton lately, but I've kind of gotten back on the horse here, and hopefully can start wiping these mistakes off the board. And it really takes what Scott did tonight is a perfect run. I don't think he laid a wheel off, and I didn't either, and it still wasn't good enough. So that's kind of what it takes here, and I think that's what it's going to take going forward. Is you're going to have to be perfect, and as we get closer to the playoffs and everybody gets a little bit starts to put more practice in, you're going to see, I think, even a heightened level of skill out here.
All right, Kyle McCoy, thanks, buddy. Before we let you go, thank all your sponsors, and we'll see you next week at Bristol.
Yeah, thanks to my teammates, Scott Bowling, Trey. Love racing with those guys. Always a fantastic time. So Bronze Horse, we had a great run tonight. Thanks to everybody who puts this league on, Nate and Derek and Brian and everybody who puts in the effort. And thanks to all our sponsors, On Throttle, Verizon, and thanks to you guys for putting on this league. We really appreciate it. It's always a great time to go back and watch, and I love providing this for my family and close friends to kind of keep track of me and watch me make all these mistakes early in the year. So really appreciate what you guys do, and appreciate everybody who puts this league on, and look forward to, I think, Bristol next week.
It is. It's Bristol next week, and of course, there's a driver of the Celsius Lip Fit Chevrolet, Kyle McCoy from Iowa. He'll finish in the number 2 position. Let's grab Robinson, Josh Robinson. A couple of poles this year. The Micro Center Chipotle Ford from the Buckeye State of Ohio. And you'll finish 3rd. Best finish of the year, man. What you taking tonight at Sonoma? And you'll be ready to rip roar on the short track at Bristol next week.
Super happy with the 3rd place here. As Ross noted last week, Scott and Kyle were going to be extremely tough, and that proved true. So again, super happy just to be in third. It was a really deep field. It's not often that you come to a road course in a league race and you see 33 drivers, so props to the league for getting everybody out here, and not only 33 drivers, but a pretty darn deep field of talented drivers here. So just super happy to get into third, and yeah, looking forward to next week at Bristol.
And Josh, too, you say you're looking forward to Bristol next week, with the deep field we had here tonight at Sonoma. We know that Bristol can kind of be one of those races with the deep field where it comes, kind of to survival. There's a lot of wrecks that go on in that with how tight that racetrack is, being the world's fastest half mile. What's your mindset going into Bristol next week?
Oh, that's easy. Survive. Yeah, Bristol's always a little bit of a wild card because you want to have some long green flag runs, but the problem with the long green flag run is somebody's eventually going to roll the dice and they're going to pit. And if you are the first one onto pit road and a caution doesn't come out, then you've won the lottery because you're just going to drive right by everybody. You can get about a 1.5 2-second delta on, if somebody's got 70, 80 laps on their tires and you got fresh tires, it's not even a challenge. But that's gambling, because if you do pit and the caution comes out while you're in the stall, now you're 1 to 2 laps down and you got to try to fight that back. So it's like playing the lottery.
We'll see how it all shakes out, obviously, from the road course here in Sonoma to Bristol next week. And still plenty of time to look for a win, man. Before we let you go, thank your sponsors. And, again, good job on the top 3 finish tonight. Third on the podium. Best one of the year.
Thank you. Props to Scott and Kyle. They ran a perfect race, and it was fun being out there with those guys. Shout out to my teammates, Tom, Andrew, who continues to have some rough luck, Brian, and team over there. And then shout out to all the league admins and you guys for putting on the broadcast, because it takes a lot of work and you guys do a great job.
Well, we appreciate it, man. 5 races down, 15 to go, 1/4 of the way through. And again, Scott Rickard, the points leader coming into tonight, puts that Toyota entry in victory lane here this evening at the road course of Sonoma. Jason, we're going to get out of here, bud. Road to the 500 Friday, Saturday, Sunday from Daytona with LSR Gaming X. A fun time with the Stars and Stripes Racing League. Your final take of tonight. Good show.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic race for sure. Being Sonoma, I know these races can get really long and strung out, but for the 40 laps we ran here tonight, great dominant ride and drive by the 2 up front. Obviously, it's such a fun time. Love coming out to this racetrack and calling races here. One of the very first tracks that I obviously called. We talked about Richmond earlier in the week, one of those ones as well. Really looking forward to Bristol next week, seeing what that race can hold. Should be a fun one for sure.
Yeah, no doubt about it. The Bristol Motor Speedway is where we'll be at next week. Of course, the Stars and Stripes Racing League. Follow them on social media and, of course, on Discord to get signed up for it. No doubt about it. We go to Bristol from Sonoma. It was a good one. 4 winners in 5 races as Scott Rickard held off Kyle McCoy and Josh Robinson on the podium as we grab the word with those drivers. And again, fun times here tonight as the road to the playoffs rolls on. Round 6 at Bristol next week. Follow us again all weekend long. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, iRacing on LSRTV, Trucks, Xfinity, Next Gen Cup, and the LSR Gaming X Road to the 500. I'll be on the call for that one as well as Charles Wooten. For Rocket Racing Media, Jeff Stabnow, Charles Wooten for Jason Rockefeller. I'm Wesley Outland. Good night from Sonoma. Congrats to Scott